It's official, everyone's favorite Alabaster Synthezoid will be returning to the Marvel Cinematic Universe in 2026. Hot off the announcement of the reintroduction of the Marvel Television banner, the studio has announced that Paul Bettany will be reprising his role as the iconic Vision in an upcoming series to be led by Star Trek Picard executive producer Terry Matalas. Stick around to find out what this means for the rest of the MCU and what this series is probably going to be about. I'm Brennan Sem for the New Wave Nerds. Subscribe down below for more nerd content and commentary. Now let's read the news. From Variety, exclusive, Marvel sets Vision series for 2026 with Paul Bettany, Star Trek Picard EP Terry Matalas as showrunner. Marvel has tapped Star Trek Picard executive producer Terry Matalas to resurrect the Vision, the synthezoid played by Paul Bettany, for a new untitled Disney Plus series set for 2026, Variety has learned exclusively. Bettany will return to the role and Matalas will serve as showrunner. After Vision dies at the hands of Thanos in 2018's Avengers Infinity War, he returned twice over in 2021's WandaVision, first as a spectral creation by his beloved Wanda Maximoff through magic powered by grief, then as a rebuilt nuts and bolts android with a ghost white appearance and zero memory of his past life. When the two Visions battled in the WandaVision finale, Wanda's Vision returned the ghost Vision's memories. Sorry, that sentence is really weird. When the two Visions battled in the WandaVision finale, Wanda's Vision restored the ghost Vision's memories. Then Wanda allowed her Vision to fade from existence. The new show will take place after those events as Ghost Vision presumably explores his new purpose on life. So yes, this is a direct continuation of the WandaVision series, something that we've talked about a lot here. I've definitely enjoyed it. I thought it was great. Certainly a tone shift from much of the Marvel stuff that we had gotten prior to that, and a tone shift and a different tone from what we've received since then. This was the first Marvel series developed, I believe, on Disney Plus, and I think it was a great way to kick off the universe. Ultimately, I know that it's sort of, there's a bit of some people don't necessarily like it because the pacing is so different from all that we've seen before, but I really enjoyed that. I thought it was a great slow burn. I thought it was a really interesting story that takes cues from multiple different comic arcs to craft its own story in this MCU and fit all of these things together and ultimately lead into other stuff. I really liked WandaVision. I thought it was where it had left Wanda, I thought was a good place. And so my viewpoint of this era, this version of Wanda that we have, is sort of colored through the inexplicably not good. I was going to say terrible, but then I decided to maybe be a little bit more polite. The inexplicably not great Doctor Strange multiverse of madness. I don't like what they did with her there. I'm not opposed to her being the villain, but it just needed to be sort of addressed more and explained and sort of touched on in a way that it really wasn't at all. Thanks, Sam Raimi. I'll never forgive him for that. The first Doctor Strange was absolutely amazing, and like I said, I liked WandaVision. I thought you were set up for a really good story, and then ultimately he dropped the ball there. But this is about WandaVision. So I have been vocal in the past about how I'm not a huge fan of what they did with Vision in WandaVision. I really liked the chromatic Vision, I guess, with the red and green and gold. I really liked the storyline that they used for the first 7 episodes, I think, before they introduced the White Vision. My main complaint with the White Vision is just that I don't think it looks very good. I'm going to pull up an image here from WandaVision. This might be from the finale. I don't think the White Vision was introduced until the finale, but there's an interaction here, and then I guess spoiler alert, maybe for the show. Shortly after this, I think he actually, wraps his grubby mitts around her neck and lifts her up in the air. I don't really like the way that this looks, and granted, it's different because it's a still. It's hard to really grasp how it might look in motion just from a static image, but I think it's fairly representative. I just did not really like the way that it looked at all. But that being said, I really did like the interaction between White Vision and, I guess as the article describes him, Wanda's Vision. I thought the interaction between the two of them was fascinating, right? So they come into contact, and eventually they're in, is it a library? Or maybe it's like the courthouse or city hall or something. I'm pretty sure it's a library. But anyways, they're in this building and they're circling each other, floating in the air, and they have this interaction about the ship of Theseus, right? Which is a sort of mental exercise, a thought exercise. That's the word. And the basis of which is Theseus has a ship. Over time, the wood in the ship gets rotted, and so the wood gets replaced. All of the old wood, all of the old rotted wood is then assembled in the shape of a ship. The thought problem here is, which is the ship of Theseus? The ship made from the original wood that was reconstructed, or the ship made from the new wood that was made to replace the old wood? Which is the ship of Theseus? Ultimately, the two visions, or rather, ultimately, the Wanda's vision leads the White Vision to the assertion that neither is the ship of Theseus, and yet both is. And then they have this interaction where the White Vision basically says, I've got the form, I am the vision, but I have no memories. And Wanda's vision replies, you have all of the data, it's just kept from you. And I think he pokes him in the brain and activates the memories, and then White Vision flees, basically, to rediscover himself, I suppose. And that is the basis of this series, presumably. Now, the question is, what are we really going to be doing here? What is the Vision going to be doing to, quote, discover himself? How is this going to relate to the broader MCU? Now, I would think that the most logical, or maybe not the most logical, but the most reasonable way to sort of tie all of these threads together is you begin the series with the White Vision, learning about the past and where he fits in. And at some point, maybe you save this to the end of the series. Maybe this is like a post-credit scene finale. Maybe this is at the end of like episode 3, right? Maybe this is the end of the Vision's beginning arc. But I think you need to have something that addresses the fate of Wanda Maximoff in this. It's a little ambiguous at the end of Multiverse of Madness. It's very heavily implied that she dies, a fact that I believe is corroborated in the MCU timeline book. But I don't think that, I think it's safe to say that they're not going to just shove her aside like that. I think she's probably going to return in some capacity. How that works out, I'm not 100% sure. Could be in a different multiverse. Could be that she's not actually dead. Maybe she's just in self-imposed exile due to an understanding of her actions. But I think we need to address that, and I would really like to see that through the eyes of this White Vision, who has the data, who has the memories of this past relationship. I guess the question is, where do the White Vision's memories start? Where do the White Vision's memories of the past Vision's life end? Presumably, right, they end with his death in Infinity War. So maybe this series is about Vision, or maybe not the series, but maybe the story arc here is Vision investigates the circumstances surrounding Wanda Maximoff and the what do they call it? The Westview anomaly or something like that. The hex wherein the WandaVision series takes place, this sort of elusive faux reality. So maybe it's the White Vision investigating that, and he learns that he has these, or this, he, I guess, quote, had these children through Wanda Maximoff. And then because of that, maybe he investigates what happened to Wanda after she left, and then he learns the events of Multiverse of Madness, and maybe we get some official closure on that storyline. That's one way they could do it, and I think would be really interesting. Another idea that I just had immediately in this moment was maybe Vision goes to West. Is it Westview? Let me look. I've got the White Vision MCU wiki pulled up here. I'm pretty sure it's called Westview. Yeah, Westview. The Westview anomaly. That's what it is. Okay, so perhaps the White Vision after a time returns to investigate this Westview anomaly, and there is some residual chaos magic, which is the force that woke up the White Vision. So I guess a little background on the White Vision as it stands in the MCU proper is that obviously after his death at the hands of Thanos in Infinity War, the government, an agency known as SWORD, which is, I believe, founded by... I can never remember which is which. I think founded by Monica Rambeau, the co-star, the secondary character, the old child, not childhood, but the old friend of Carol Danvers in Captain Marvel. This is the organization founded by her. Ultimately, this agency snags the corpse of Vision and then works to reassemble him. And they have the body perfect. It looks amazing, and yet the White Vision won't come online. And ultimately, again, I guess spoilers for WandaVision, a series that came out in, I think, 2021, so 3 years old now. The White Vision doesn't get activated until he comes into contact with a drone that that went into and then out of the Westview anomaly, the Hex. So this is a drone that is imbued with this chaos magic, and it is through contact with that the White Vision is awoken. And so the theory that I have is perhaps the Vision goes to the Westview anomaly to investigate. There's residual chaos magic, which awakens these memories of the White Vision and the, quote, children, the illusion of Tommy and... Is it Bobby? I don't know. Let's get back to this, the MCU wiki, I guess. Tommy and Billy. I was thinking Bobby, but it's Billy. Okay, so he regains these... I don't know if regain is necessarily the quite the right word, but he garners these memories of his, quote, children, and because of that, then investigates the fate of Wanda Maximoff and the Scarlet Witch and sees what happens. That's something that I think could be really interesting. I'm curious to see, as the Variety article mentions, this is currently an untitled show. But it is worth mentioning that previously there had been... why don't actually I just go back to the Variety article here? An earlier version of a let me just restart that. An earlier version of a Vision series had been in development with WandaVision creator Jacques Schaefer, but Schaefer's attention turned to running a separate WandaVision spin-off, Agatha All Along, with Catherine Hahn, that is set to premiere in September. Notably, this show, Agatha All Along, has gone through multiple changes and title changes, but presumably other creative changes as well. I think originally it was Agatha Coven of Darkness, and then after that it was Agatha House of Harkness, and now we're at Agatha All Along. Like I mentioned in a previous video, this is something that I'm not really all that interested in. I'll presumably watch it, but So I wonder what the relation... I wonder how much is going to be a holdover from this previous iteration of the series. The 2022 version that had been announced was at the time titled Vision Quest, taken directly from a comic arc. I believe the comic arc is from the West Coast Avengers, a spin-off series of Avengers set in, I want to say San Francisco, but I know it's California, so close enough. I don't know. I wonder if they're going to continue the same route. How much had really been done on the back end in the previous iteration of this series? Is it the kind of thing where they just had, the name down and had sort of broad aspects, but didn't really have any story, and then Jacques Schaeffer moved on to Agatha All Along? Or was there a relatively developed storyline, a relatively developed project, perhaps, and then for whatever reason, we move on? So I guess ultimately my question is this Vision series, is this going to be Vision Quest, or are they going a completely different route? Obviously, there's not much to go off of from the comic storyline itself. Many of the plot points have already been adapted into WandaVision, and some are taken in Multiverse of Madness. There is a whole second arc, or a second half, the Vision's own arc that has been untouched. I have not personally read that yet. I have been unable to find an edition of the West Coast Avengers with this storyline in it. Everywhere I checked, they were all out of stock, or they didn't have the issues or whatever. So I haven't been able to read it yet. It's absolutely on my list, but I'm not 100% sure, because one of the story beats from this Vision Quest storyline involves Wanda Maximoff and an interaction that she has with Wonder Man. Is it Wonder Man? Okay, well, it doesn't say in here, but I have a still from a comic that I found where that chronicles this interaction between Wonder Man and Scarlet Witch, but I guess they don't actually say his name in here. But the short and skinny of it is that in the comics, the Vision had in the comics, the original Vision was created, and his personality was taken from this hero, Wonder Man, who is as of yet obviously not introduced into the MCU. Though I had heard rumors that they were developing a series. I haven't heard anything since and have not been able to corroborate that. So I don't know if that's still true or what. But in the comics, he'd taken his personality from Wonder Man, and then after the events happen, which cause, the White Vision to be created and lose all of his memories and data or whatever, Scarlet Witch approaches Wonder Man and says, "Hey dog, can you do this again?" And he says, ultimately, "No. I had no choice before about whether or not to give part of my soul over to a synthezoid. I have a choice now, and I'm not going to do it." That's a really interesting interaction that I think I would really like to see play out on the screen. Obviously, we don't have a Wonder Man, so there would need to be some changes made. In the MCU, the Vision was created through an amalgamation of Jarvis, Ultron, and as Banner says in, I think, Age of Ultron, or no, it's in Infinity War, he says that the Matrix includes parts of Tony Stark. Wow, that's really embarrassing. Tony Stark and Bruce Banner. So I don't know. Maybe we could have a sort of storyline like this. It's obviously difficult because presumably Ultron has been destroyed. Jarvis ceased to exist when he became Ultron. Tony, after that, started to use the Friday AI. Obviously, since then, Tony himself has died. So the only remaining creator of Vision, the only remaining progenitor, I guess, is maybe a better word than creator. The only remaining one is Bruce Banner. So that would be interesting. We could maybe have a cameo of him and still have this interaction. Maybe the Vision himself has this conversation because, again, presumably the Scarlet Witch herself is dead, so she would be unable to have this interaction. That's certainly interesting. I don't know. That would be really weird. I don't know how they would do this. I don't know. I sort of think Bruce should just shuffle off into the sunset for a little while at least. I didn't really necessarily like him in She-Hulk. And I think if you reintroduce Bruce in anything, in any capacity, really, you sort of have to address the She-Hulk ending with, what's his name? Scar. the child or of the Hulk or whatever, and I don't know if they really want to do that. I mean, maybe the addressing of that is just that, oh, She-Hulk is just in a completely different multiverse, and then that's how they get rid of it, and then they can reintroduce Tatiana Maslany's Jennifer Walters in a completely different way. Actually, that would be pretty interesting. What if they do a okay, now I'm cooking. So what if they take this and do a sort of Avengers or West Coast Avengers thing? The White Vision heads off to San Francisco, where he comes into contact with Jennifer Walters, who is having this interaction with Bruce Banner, and we get to see a new Jennifer Walters, a take that is less terrible. That's certainly something. I don't know. This is curious. That would be really fun. And maybe the Vision, I don't know. I do definitely want to see Jennifer Walters in other stuff in the MCU. Not because I liked She-Hulk as a show. I thought it was pretty, how do I put this? Pretty disappointing, let's say. There were some points that I did enjoy. I liked the interaction between her and Daredevil, but the show overall was not that great. I still like the character of She-Hulk, though. I like Jennifer Walters, and I like where it could head. And so I want to see more of that character, hopefully in, like I said, a less ridiculous take. At the very least, I hope she has a bit cameo in Daredevil Born Again. I think that would be very fun. But ultimately, I have no idea where I started with this, and I had the idea as to how to make this a fun West Coast Avengers storyline with Vision Quest, and then immediately lost it. But I think that would be interesting. Perhaps the Vision goes to seek out Bruce Banner, to have this conversation that Scarlet Witch has with Wonder Man in the comics. He goes to him and he says, I don't understand, you're part of my neural matrix or whatever they're going to call it. So maybe, can you help? And Bruce is going to say, hey, dog, look, I don't know what you want me to do. There's nothing here. And then we get Jennifer Walters, and I don't know, maybe it's just a fun... maybe maybe this is the beginning of our West Coast Avengers. Maybe we set up a separate group, right? Because we know in Captain America... Brave New World that Harrison Ford's Thunderbolt Ross is going to be asking Sam Wilson's Captain America to reintroduce, to bring together the Avengers again. And so maybe we have a little bit of an offshoot going here. Maybe we've got White Vision and Jennifer Walters having some fun, cooking up some problems over in San Francisco. Maybe cleaning up some of the homeless. Perhaps maybe the streets will be clean of poop. We'll never know. But I think that's really interesting. This is a show that I'm absolutely interested in seeing. Obviously, with the introduction of Terry Matalas, I think this is presumably going to be a very well done show, right? So Terry Matalas, let's get back to the article here. Marvel brought him in after his work running Season 3 of Star Trek Picard, which brought back the cast of Star Trek The Next Generation to widespread acclaim, garnering Matalas a WGA Award nomination for the 2023 series finale. Greatly impressed. Oh, sorry, I got the whole inflection of that wrong. Marvel chief Kevin Feige, an avowed Trekkie, actually even recently appeared with Matalas on a 2-hour episode of the Star Trek podcast Inglorious Treksperks. I'm going to have to listen to that. That'd be fun. I didn't realize Kevin Feige was so into Star Trek. Wow, that was dumb. Here we go. Some further of Matalas' work. Before Picard, Matalas was the creator and showrunner for the sci-fi series 12 Monkeys for Universal Cable Productions, which ran for 4 seasons. He also was the executive producer and showrunner of Season 4 of the CBS reboot of MacGyver, and he's written for Night Flyers, Nikita, Terra Nova, and Star Trek Enterprise. He's also restored multiple Back to the Future DeLoreans, which have appeared on Jay Leno's Garage, Super Bowl commercials, and the Academy Awards. A weird fact, but I'm glad we included it. So he's definitely a nerd. So I feel like we're in good hands here. Obviously, I've yet to see Star Trek Picard. I'm still making my way through the rest of the series. There's no way I can obviously watch Picard without Next Gen, and I I can't devote time to watch 10 seasons of a show right now, as much as I really want to, but I just can't do it. But obviously, like the article mentioned, Star Trek Picard, massive acclaim. I heard nothing but good things about the series. I heard that it was an absolutely epic finish, and it was truly worthy of a continuation of Next Generation. So I think it bodes well that this guy is here. Obviously, he's got some good work to his name recently. Furthermore, he's a nerd, right? This is somebody who presumably, even if maybe he doesn't care about Marvel, he is in tune with the nerd fandom, right? He knows sort of the way things work. Maybe not for Marvel, like I said, but for Star Trek, he understands how these fandoms operate and the understanding. And my hope is that, given the fact that he clearly enjoys a lot of this content, my hope is that he comes at this with a love and admiration for the source material and hopes to really, truly adapt a nice, a beautiful interpretation of this character. And hopefully we get a spiritual successor to the WandaVision series. Like I said, I thought that series was great, and so I really hope that this lives up to that in the way that Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness definitely didn't, in my opinion. I'm super excited for this. What do you guys think? Is this one that you're going to be watching? Where do you think they're going to take Vision? Do you think we're going to have some closure with regards to Wanda Maximoff? I really hope so. Let me know down below. Subscribe for more content, and we will be back here tomorrow with another news segment. I will see you guys then.